everyone, and welcome to an unboxing of Night Models releases for the Batman miniature game, released at the tail end of last month. Finally arrived the middle of this month. It took a little bit of a long time, as it usually does with them, but this is the wave of new Court of Owl releases, namely these three boxes. We have a new unknown, so anyone but Batman affiliated free agent that you can have, as well as another silly meme villain who's also going to be in the next Suicide Squad movie, and then also a retro throwback box as well. And I was interested in all this stuff, unlike the new releases previously, which was mostly Riddler. Not really interested in the Riddler stuff. I'm trying to track down the new Catwoman and the Tim Drake Robin, but Night Models is still dragging their heels getting stock to their third-party distributors, sadly. So that is taking a while. But we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about these new releases, take a quick look at them, and play the usual game that we play. Get your comment in early before I start opening these. How many, if any, mistakes, errors, omissions, etc. will there be in these boxes? To be fair, if you ignore the Black Friday Special Edition Crypto miniature, which is possibly the worst miniature I've ever received from Night Models, the last few orders and releases from them have been good in terms of consistency, packaging, everything being in there as it should, no damage, etc. So get that in nice and early. And we'll start with the Court of Owl stuff before we do the bonus stuff, I feel. So I'll get some of this out of the way and we'll get started. So for the Court of Owls, we have a new alternative leader, the Court, which is just a miniature showing off the Court of Owls itself to illustrate their presence, and they're manipulating the battlefield. They're not literally on the field, walking around like that. Similarly to the Oracle release and whatnot. We have Raven, who is a knight. Wait, is he? No, what is his name again? It is, no, Raptor, sorry, Raptor. Not Raven, I was close. He is a Nightwing villain. I've only ever read one comic with him in it. I believe it was the start of the Rebirth run for Nightwing, and it was called Better Than Batman. In brackets, it most certainly is not, but hey. And then we have, what's his name, Dementor and Calvin Rose. Calvin Rose is kind of like a turned good Talon assassin. The other one I know nothing about. So, let's get started with the biggest box. For the biggest miniature, 60mm base, I think. Yep. So, I hope you got your bets in, and here we go. Obviously also hoping that they promptly release the next wave of releases, because none of the new releases for the Court of Owls include their objective deck, but Night Models have shown off they are in fact releasing a fully, all-in objective cards for every crew they've updated for 3rd edition so far, and then also a few new ones as well. So we have our 60mm base, of course. We have our tactical deployment chair, which I'm fairly sure is the same one they used for Mad Hatter, or similar. A little bit of flash cleanup needed there for sure. Yeah. We have the little kid that's sitting on the right. Again, just a little bit of flash to clean up. We can get well, it might be a bit difficult to get in close on him, but yeah, it's fine. Then we have the gentleman at the back, and then the lady from the chair. Besides flash needing cleaned up, it looks fine to me. A lot of flash around outside of him, actually. Gonna need to take a knife to that. What is this? Oh right, it's what they're all standing on, and it's meant to be a rug. It's a very flimsy bit of resin, honestly. It kind of looks like something melted by accident. But yeah, they're all sitting on that, and the chair has kind of ruffled the carpet a little bit. Where's the guy who... oh, there he is. And this is kind of like the main guy who's sitting in the chair. All the bits appear to be there. So we do get their stat card. Yeah, they're just doing English cards now as well. So very cheap and cheerful, 50 rep for a leader, which is really good, especially because, again, it's their influence on the table, so they can't physically be fought. They get damaged by removing suspect markers. And they have some interesting... oh yeah, because they have movement 0. So they only move by manipulating the L markers, which are connected to how the objective deck works, which means they're not really that usable until you have the objective deck. So hence wanting the April releases, which won't ship till next month probably, to get over with soon, because they're also re-releasing the starter set for anybody who wants the starter set, hopefully for a cheaper price point, because they've taken out all the scenery and some of the miniatures. So that is the court, representing the higher-ups that use the Talon Assassins. Raptor is, I think he's He's a free agent in the literal sense, not the game sense, and he's also usable in cults. So he works for the court, but he's not like one of their lackeys. He's not one of their reanimated, is what I'm meaning. 60 rep. He's got a Robin stat line, let's say, or a sidekick stat line, but he's a free agent. Raptor's Claw, Raptor's Gas. He's desensitized in a Street Fighter. Hopefully that is in focus, so you can pause it if you want to take a look at it properly. He has Thief as well. He's got a back claw. He's sturdy. And yeah, he's a Cobra cultist. Interesting that he can be used in a Cobra cult. Now, the important part is all his bits here, including his tactical curtain. So we have a base. We have tactical curtain. I'm still not 100% sure if I'm going to model him with that or not. The base on which the tactical curtain sits. And then him himself, let's see here. A lot of cleanup required. Like there's a fuzzy outline to the leg there, it's going to need cleaned up for sure. The rest of the detail looks good though. And his fancy hand thing that I can't remember the name of. He says it like a billion times in the one comic I read and I still don't remember it. But yeah, that's okay, that looks good. So we'll just put all this back in there for now. And put this to one side. And then we have the 2-pack to look at. So as we crack into Dementor and Calvin Rose, one thing also to mention, if you have some of the old Corvells box, like the Bat box that had Lincoln Marsh, the Gotham Butcher, etc., some of their stats have changed. Like for instance, the Talon, as in, William Cobb, he now has like throwing knives. Every owl knife should now have crushing on it. Yeah, his one does. And the core rule for the Talon Assassins, Reanimated Owl, is now different. They still haven't updated the compendium to reflect this on these new cards. They still haven't updated the compendium to the Two-Face update. So technically high caliber and low caliber still do nothing. I'm sure they'll get to it when they're ready. So Talon, Calvin Rose, 60 rep, sidekick stat line. He's got a Talon knife, so yeah, that's the same as the L knife, so they're handy, sharp and crushing. Now I've forgotten offhand what crushing adds to it, but I think it's an opportunity to do more blood, which is what they sorely needed. And the new reinforced owl trait, this model removes 1 damage marker of any type during the first step of the recount phase. Before removing this model as a casualty, the opponent may choose to place a friendly or enemy suspect marker in contact with it. So the negative has changed. The positive has changed from getting to reroll your attempts to wake up from KO to just flat out removing 1 damage of any type on top of the 1 stun damage you heal at the end of a round. He's a runaway, like this guy likes grabbing stuff and running. Stealth, scout, runaway, reinforced gloves, escape artist and an acrobat. How's he for fighting? He can do blood if he wants, he's got reinforced gloves. I mean, not bad. 60 rep. Yeah. I'm not sure how he fits into a Corvells crew. Like, he is affiliation Batman, that's interesting. And he does have a unique objective card, but I can't remember what it does offhand. So Dementor, also 60 rep. Calvin is 7'7", he's 6'8". Stat line is the same. Ah, yeah, okay, so they haven't updated this. When they first showed off this card, his claw did nothing. And unfortunately, even though they updated the card pretty quickly, clearly not before sending it to the printers because there's nothing listed. I believe it's meant to be single blood, but I don't remember. But yeah, I noticed that when they first uploaded his card, when they became available for pre-order, they changed it pretty quick. Why didn't they do that to the printer? I don't know. So this owl can inspire fear, which is interesting. He's very intimidating, I guess. Light armor, he's obstinate. He's got the reanimated owl. New rule. The new rule definition applies to the old ones as well. Sneak attack, stealth, unstoppable monster. That's the one where he has to move. Solomon Grundy has that. And they're still weak to cold, which doesn't matter because Night Models is never going to update Mr. Freeze. So, the sprue. We have our 2 medium-sized bases. Okay, there's bits all over the place here. This is Dementor. Let's see, body intact, 2 arms, head, all limbs accounted for. It's the new resin, so you know it's going to be messy and needs cleaned up. Calvin Rose. He's got both hands. There's the other leg and his head. And then this is the tactical rock for Calvin, because he's bouncing off of it with a bit of metal as well. Is that in focus? That seems better quality than the rug that the court was sitting on. Yeah, that looks fine. Yeah, so that is it for this very specific Court of Owl releases that came out. Now we have our new free agent for the villains, another presumably free agent, and then something goofy. So let's start with KG Beast. I'm not actually familiar with KG Beast in this iteration of him. I'm familiar with him from the Assault on Arkham animated movie, where he doesn't last very long, and the comic in which he was murdered by the Tallyman along with a number of other kind of like C-list villains. This version of him, he looks like Bane with a gun arm, like Barrett from Final Fantasy, and he actually looks intimidating, and from what I can remember of his stat card, he seems pretty good. A massive third of your funding goes to him though, 500 funding, barring any upgrades, 95 rep. He has 2 guns, but he has to switch between the 2, and you can model him with either one, a machine gun or a cybernetic gun. 9 endurance, 7 willpower, 5-5. He's got a Batman stat line, just not a Batman willpower. Assassin 2. Let's see what else he's got here. Configurable weapon. During the first raise to plan phase, this model can perform an effort and spend a special action during its activation to change the selected weapon to the other one. He's got good aim for a special action. He's a martial artist. KG Beast is a martial artist. Okay. He's a master fighter, which is honestly surprising. One armed, so he gets -1 to his defense roll, so that's probably why he's defense 5, because he's technically defense 4. Retractable claws. He has retractable claws. He can run away, same as Calvin. He's sturdy, so he doesn't lose efforts even though he's wounded. He also has thief, like Raptor did. Or, no, maybe Calvin did. And he is a veteran, so he would slip in very nicely, although obviously somewhat prohibitively expensive cash-wise, into a Soldiers of Fortune list, because they need all the veterans they can get to very, very easily score a lot of their cards. He is a free agent. He can only not be with Batman affiliation. He seems really good on paper, or card, as the case may be. To me, anyway. But yeah, it's getting around that funding, taking up a third of your funding. But Soldiers of Fortune have a lot of options that don't need a lot of funding. It's just the reputation cost is a little high, like Stealth Op, Tomahawk. No, I always call him Tomahawk Op, Dreadnought Op. But yeah, he seems really, really good, and I'm not entirely sure why. Again, I'm not familiar with this. This is the more modern comic version of him. I'm familiar with him from like the early 2000s, I think. Anyway, but yeah, I just like the pose the miniature's into. Shouldn't have said that before looking at the sprue just in case, but hey. The tactical rock he's standing on. Gotta have tactical rocks. With the hammer and sickle underneath. Why would he be standing on it like he's defeated it? Isn't he like with them? The main body, again, exceptionally Bane-like. Very Bane-like. And then his one arm, there's a tiny hose. I have no idea where that's going. There's no assembly instructions, so maybe it comes off his cybernetic gun, I guess. That seems like a cybernetic thing. We get his head option, and then we get his machine gun option. I'm more familiar with him with a machine gun. I've never seen him with a laser cannon, so I'll probably model him with that anyway. It's got a little knife on it as well, but not where you would think it would be. But yeah, that sprue seems good to me as well. So yeah, KG Beast, looking forward to seeing him on the table. Let's get him moved out of the way. So I decided before we take a look at Polka Dot Man, we're actually just going to look at the Batman and Robin, but based on the 1966 to 68 Batman, as in Adam West and Burt Ward, which also gives me an excuse to show off one of my prized possessions really quick. It is this. It is Back to the Batcave, Adam West's story of before, during, and after his time as Batman, and signed by the man himself. Sorely missed, a wonderful man. One of my prized possessions. I highly recommend reading this book, even if you're not familiar with the 1960s Batman. It's very funny, it's very insightful, it's got a lot of very fun stories in it, including the time where Adam West and Frank Gorshin, I think his name was, the main guy who played the Riddler. A few people played the Riddler, but he's considered the main guy. They went out on the town together and accidentally got roped into going to an orgy because it was the 60s. They wanted out of it and couldn't take it seriously, so Frank Gorshin pretended to be the Riddler. Adam West pretended to be Batman, foiling each other, and they got kicked out for not taking it seriously enough. But enough about those silly stories. There's wonderful stories in there. There's also some less fun stories, but you know, that's the life of being in television. So this is, well, I will say the Batman very clearly looks like the Adam West Batman, and it does say Adam West. He is a cheap and cheerful Batman, 75 rep. Not a fantastic stat line, more like a sidekick stat line, but, you know. He has his shark repellent, and teamwork with Robin as well. He's a millionaire, so he gives you extra funding, so you can bring more cops with guns. He has a rule called Kapow for a special action. Until the end of its activation, this model's melee attacks gain +1 to attack dice rolls, which would be 3+, and blunt 3 for 3 extra stun damage on a crit, I believe. Or maybe it's not even on a crit, just 3 extra stun damage. One big kapow, hence the name. And he can arrest. I think he's the only other Batman who can arrest besides the Christian Bale one. And he's a veteran. Comes with a bat claw but no bat armor. Because he's just wearing a leotard, so there's no armor in there. But yeah, he looks like Adam West as Batman. The Burt Ward Robin, he's too young. Because like Burt Ward was in his 20s, I think, when he was Robin. He never looked that young. That looks like someone Damien's age. But when he played Dick Grayson, he was not. And it doesn't really look like him, I don't think. Same kind of hair, but swing and a miss on this one. Maybe they couldn't make it look exactly like him because Burt Ward's still alive. I don't know. Either way, 38 rep. If I remember rightly, this Robin has a really interesting role. Hang on. Where are we? It's mine. Enemy models cannot reveal your suspect markers while the marker is within 2 of this model. So if you think the enemy is going to try and score a card by revealing a suspect marker of yours or whatever, keep Robin sat on it. And they can't until they remove him. And he has one of the boys as well, so he always inspired. Oh, is he a henchman? You know he's a sidekick, but he gets treated as a henchman for one of the boys because he has a radio as well. So even if he's across the table from Adam West, he can always get a free manipulate. And he has a bat claw, no bat armor. Now I believe there is the option to put Adam West on like a giant kapow somewhere. Oh, where is it? That's weird, it's in bags. So this baggie appears to be their assorted hands and feet. Oh no, the kapow is there. It's not nearly as large as I thought it was. I thought it filled the entire base. I mean, the kapows and whatnot, it never appeared under them. They appeared on the screen. Look, there's no logic to this bagging. One leg, one arm, one wrist, and a kapow. One leg, 2 arms, and a head. And then no baggie for their bodies. And again, that is far too small to be Burt Ward Robin. So a little weird, but still, I couldn't resist. I loved Adam West as Batman. I've recently rewatched the 60s Batman. It is very good. It'll put a smile on your face. And again, I can't recommend that book enough. It's a very interesting read about how this Batman show in particular helped make people buy colour televisions, because colour televisions were relatively new, so the show was deliberately super vibrant to encourage people who saw it in colour to be like, oh, you've got to see this show in colour. And like other stuff like that. It's kind of interesting as well because Adam West didn't really understand Batman becoming all like brooding and dark and stuff in time for the Michael Keaton movie. So he was kind of like, well, why can't it be me? So he became a little bit out of touch, which is also interesting for different reasons. He didn't understand why aren't the comics like the comics that I read growing up, where Batman was goofy and fighting like magic space gorillas and stuff. So I highly recommend. This isn't, a book review or anything, but I do highly recommend that read. It's very interesting. Anyway, I had more to say about that than I do these miniatures, but I am looking forward to getting them painted because they're goofy, they're fun, silly but not in a bad way like Big Bang Theory models, for instance, and they actually serve a purpose on the table, which is important. So, let us move on to Polka Dot Man. So this is the kind of villain that I guess Adam West was thinking about when he read Batman comics from like the 50s, Polka Dot Man, he's going to have a resurgence thanks to being in the new Suicide Squad movie from James Gunn. Oh, there's one of the Detective Comics rather on the back. Hang on, let me see if I can read the date on it. No, that's way too small. No chance. But yeah, goofy, but done up to be more modern, sort of. Let's see here. Polka Dot Man, his real name is Abner Grill. 44 rep, 300 funding. I remember him being surprisingly okay as well. His throwing discs are short range mechanical sharp throwing, so potential 5 blood, because he won't lose any from moving and shooting. He's obstinate as well. What was with all these releases being obstinate? Auto repair 3, so, well, I think the chances of using that... Well, actually, does that only work on... At the beginning of the recount phase, this model rolls a 1d6 on a 3+, remove a dart... Oh no! Auto repair is on him! I was confusing it with the one where you can repair a vehicle, which might as well not exist, because nobody uses vehicles. That's really good! He's got his DOTS suit, he can fly, essentially. And when a friendly model within 8 and line of sight of this is the target of an attack, he can perform efforts to remove dice from that attack. Now he doesn't have the thing where his effort limit isn't reduced, and he's only got 5 endurance, so that's definitely his downside. He's obstinate, as I said, but he also has power armor. Like, it just looks like he's wearing a sheet, but apparently that's like super powered auto-repairing power armor based on his rolls. Any models roll 1 less attack die. Targeting this model, in addition, you can make an effort to ignore up to 2 damage markers per effort. So if you don't want to take dice away, you can just take damage away instead. We have his base. We have the man himself and his polka dot firing hands. And yes, you do have to do each of those polka dots yourself if you want to. What a weird thing. So that's the bit for his base, and I guess this is... Well, this is the disc he's standing on. I don't know if you can see this, but... Let me see here. Like this, I don't know how they print these, but that looks like somebody left their finger like that. And I think I can see the lines of their fingerprint. Is it on this side? It's not on this side, it's only on this side. I'm pretty sure I can see the indentation. I don't know if it's going to show up on recording. There is the slight indentation of a fingerprint in this. Right there. Like that. And it's not mine, because I can't rub it away. And it's still there. Huh. I guess they were rushing, maybe? Who knows? Not as much to say about him. He has an obvious weakness, especially against crews that do blood damage. But against Batman crews, I think he can be quite annoying if you keep him near high value miniatures. So yeah, that is all the releases from last time for Night models. The Corvells wave and then this kind of miscellaneous wave here. We know, along with the new smaller starter set to let people get introduced to Batman, there's of course the big box of objective cards, and there's also a wave of Year 1 themed miniatures. Year 1 Batman, Year 1 Gordon, etc, etc. Not sure what else yet, obviously they're still doing previews ahead of presumably open pre-orders in like a week. But I am interested in those, as I was in these, and we'll hopefully get them put together as soon as possible. Do keep in mind I'm like knee deep in Cursed City miniatures right now, which are taking up a lot of time. But I do hope to at least see some of these slowly filter in. I can't use the Corvells until I have their objective deck, though. And definitely not printing it out. So we'll have to wait on them. But KG Beast, Batman and Robin, Polka Dot Man, even maybe Raptor in a cult list. Maybe. Anyway, I sincerely hope you had a little bit of fun watching this unboxing. Again, I highly recommend Back to the Batcave by Adam West, if you're interested at all in his life as Batman. And yeah, we'll see you next time. It's time for now.